Are you feeling stressed? Is the weight of the world leaning a bit too heavily on your shoulders today? Well, take a deep breath, lean back, and get ready to release some much-needed endorphins. Welcome to our channel, where today, we aren't just looking at history, we are looking at the absolute peak of human absurdity. History is often taught as a dry list of dates, wars, and treaties. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that our ancestors were just as chaotic, confused, and unintentionally hilarious as we are today. From military missions against flightless birds to Olympic races that looked more like fever dreams, we've curated a list of the top 10 most hilarious moments in history that are guaranteed to make you laugh out loud. Before we dive into the madness, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell. We bring you daily doses of entertainment and fascinating facts to keep your spirits high. Now, let's begin our countdown into the lighter side of the human chronicles. 2. Rank 10. The Great Emu War of 1932. We start our journey in the vast outback of Australia, 1932. Usually when you think of war, you imagine tanks, trench coats, and strategic masterminds. You probably don't imagine a 6-foot-tall bird with a funny face and a complete lack of respect for authority. After World War I, the Australian government gave land to veterans to farm. However, 20,000 emus decided that these newly planted wheat fields were an all-you-can-eat buffet. The farmers were desperate, and the government made a decision that sounds like a comedy sketch. They sent the Royal Australian Artillery. Yes, they sent the actual army, armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, to fight birds. The result? The emus won. These birds proved to be masters of guerrilla warfare. They split into small groups, making them impossible to hit. They could take multiple bullets and keep running at 30 miles per hour. One commander noted that if he had a military division with the bullet resistance of these birds, he could face any army in the world. After weeks of wasted ammo and bruised egos, the military withdrew. The birds remained. It is officially the only war in history where the enemy's main weapon was running away in a zigzag pattern. 3. Rank 9. The most disastrous Olympic marathon, 1904. If you think modern sports are dramatic, wait until you hear about the 1904 Olympic marathon in St. Louis. This wasn't a race, it was a chaotic road trip gone horribly wrong. First, let's talk about Fred Laws. After 9 miles, he got a cramp and decided he'd had enough. He hopped into his manager's car and drove the next 11 miles, waving at spectators. When the car broke down, he hopped out and ran the final stretch. He was about to receive the gold medal from Alice Roosevelt when someone pointed out he'd been seen hitching a ride. His defense? It was just a joke! Then there was the actual winner, Thomas Hicks. He was so exhausted, his trainers fed him a cocktail of strychnine, which is literally rat poison, mixed with brandy. By the end, he was hallucinating that the finish line was still miles away while he was crossing it. But the real star was Anderin Carvajal, a Cuban postman who arrived in long pants and a beret. He stopped mid-race to eat some rotten apples from an orchard, got stomach cramps, took a nap on the side of the road, and still finished in 4th place. It remains the only Olympic event that felt less like a sport and more like a fever dream. 4. Rank 8. The Dancing Plague of 1518. Imagine walking through the streets of Strasbourg, France, in the middle of a hot summer, and seeing your neighbor dancing. Not just a little jig, but full-blown, non-stop grooving. Now, imagine they don't stop for a month. In 1518, a woman named Frau Troffea started dancing in the street for no reason. Within a week, 34 others joined her. Within a month, there were 400 people. Doctors at the time, who clearly weren't the brightest, concluded that the cure for this hot blood was more dancing. They actually built a wooden stage and hired professional musicians to keep the beat going. They thought if people just shook it out, they would be cured. Instead, people started collapsing from sheer exhaustion. While modern science points to mass hysteria or ergot poisoning, a fungus on bread, The image of a medieval city turning into an involuntary, non-stop disco is both terrifying and undeniably hilarious. It was the world's first flash mob, just 500 years too early and significantly more dangerous. 5. Rank 7, the BBC Dad Ninja Intervention, 2017. Let's jump to the modern era. We have all had awkward moments on Zoom or Teams, but nobody did it better than Professor Robert Kelly. In 2017, he was being interviewed live on the BBC to discuss a very serious topic: South Korean politics. In the middle of his deep analysis, the door behind him swings open. A toddler in a bright yellow shirt marches in, doing a celebratory "I just found the unlocked door" dance. Before the professor can react, a second baby in a walker rolls in like a getaway driver crashing a heist. The highlight of the comedy is when Kelly's wife, Young Kim, skids into the room like a ninja. She grabs both children and crawls back out on her hands and knees as if she's invisible, trying to save the interview while making it 10 times funnier. The professor's desperate attempt to stay stoic while a literal circus is happening behind him became a global symbol for the struggle of working from home. It reminds us all that no matter how important your job is, your kids are always the real bosses. 6. Rank 6. The Great Molasses Flood, 1919.